Let me start quickly because I've got so much to tell you, or so much that I'd like to share with you, and I'll see if I remember all of it. But the sooner the start, the better. And we have to start with the defeat of Barcelona against Granada. Now, you could see things were happening for a while, and we discussed them, but everything was exposed in front of our eyes at Granada. What did Granada do to beat Barcelona? This is the first important thing. And we'll touch more on Granada and the top of the table in Spain, which looks quite interesting. But it was intensity, high tempo, and intelligence in what they had to do. That is, in identifying their own weaknesses. They defended very compactly, and they attack with pace. Barcelona right now, they cannot deal with that. We saw that against Borussia Dortmund. They were really lucky to get a point there. And against Granada, it was just a confirmation that, especially in away games, they haven't managed to get a victory yet in the 4 they played away. There are a lot of deficiencies. I've been looking closely to what those are in my eyes, and mostly for videos that we're going to do for La Liga TV and other stuff that I'm preparing for the week. And what I'm seeing is, where to start? First of all, Barcelona starts the game as if they think that just by passing, they'll eventually get to where they want to get to create a chance and to score. They think that having Luis Suarez, for instance, helps, and right now it doesn't. Luis Suarez hasn't got pace. Yes, he can score out of nothing, but he doesn't really work defensively, for instance, in a way that we've seen today Benzema doing for Real Madrid. He doesn't do it all the time, but now everybody realizes now that to win games, everybody's got to work without the ball. And sometimes, often enough, Luis Suarez doesn't do that. But also with the ball, when he finds in a situation where he's got to win by pace, the centre back, sometimes he just doesn't do that. There's more. De Jong was playing in the Busquets position, and De Jong, I thought that was his best place to see a little bit that De Jong would see in an Ajax, and it's wrong. That's for Busquets, because in there you limit what De Jong can do for the side. That exuberance, that energy, that explosive pace in the first 5-10 meters. That jumping defensive lines with a move. He of course doesn't do that when he's playing deeper. So you had a lesser De Jong. How about Griezmann? Clearly he was told, all right, you'll stay on the left-hand side, Carlos Perez on the right, and Luis Suarez in the middle, and you stay on the left. And he stayed on the left, as in he stayed on the left all the time. Not fully true, of course. He tried to come into the middle and build up, but at the wrong time, and didn't seem convinced of what he was doing at all. And Barcelona attacked down the right more often than down the left, as if they don't feel he's the solution to anything right now. It's really poor, and he disconnected. You could see that he wasn't attacking players when Barcelona didn't have the ball. He didn't defend them with enough intensity. He was there, but, did he care enough? He seemed very frustrated. Nothing was coming to him. He wasn't running to space. He wanted the ball to his feet either. Ansu Fati came on in the second half, and he actually did much more damage on the left-hand side. But in the 4-3-3, on the left-hand side, Ansu Fati does more than Griezmann. Griezmann is not a guy to go 1v1 with a player. He's a guy to actually link up, be creative, of course, good finisher. But in terms of pace and 1v1 situations, you prefer Ansu Fati there, which is interesting because he's, of course, 16. While Griezmann is over 120 million euros valued. So this position hasn't been found. Messi came on, but it wasn't the solution either, and normally is. But you had a team that was flat. You didn't see anything, any spark, anybody dribbling anybody apart from Ansu Fati and Messi when he came on. So you start questioning: do they trust the person that's leading them? Do they trust the instructions that have been given, because I'm sure Valverde knows what's wrong. I'm sure he does. But it feels like whatever solution he wants to apply, the players don't seem convinced it's the one, or they don't want to do it fully, or there's a mental breakdown in terms of when the players of Barcelona come into the pitch. They don't seem switched on, and that sometimes is leadership. So I've been told that Barcelona is considering seriously the possibility of replacing Valverde at some point. They're thinking about it. They haven't taken any decision. Still early days, but they feel that perhaps it could be a solution. I'm not saying it will be the solution, but it could be a solution. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. So you look at the table in Spain, and the top 6 are separated by 1 point, and in the top 6 you find Real Sociedad, you find Granada, you find Athletic Bilbao at the top alongside Real Madrid. Before we talk about Athletic Bilbao, we have to praise Diego Martinez's approach against Barcelona, and because one thing is what you can do from the blackboard. You can prepare the team to actually defend very closely together. Everybody's got to take responsibility for that. And then once they have the ball, it's not about just playing it long. It's about playing it with intelligence and pace and directness, yes. And Antonio Puertas was fantastic at it. Assists as well in the center of a line of 3, both defensive and offensive. Machis on the left-hand side, and Soldado, he did his job as well. Yangel Herrera was very good too in the center midfield. Domingos, one of the 2 centre-backs really, just cleared everything away. It was a great performance by a team that has got in a big percentage players that were there in the second division being promoted with them. So Granada started the weekend with the same points as Barcelona. They are 3 ahead of Barcelona right now. So with 10 points, they've got more or less a fourth of what they need this season to be safe, which is their priority right now. But let's see, because it's the kind of team that you will think, right, it's just because they had these guys that are now at bigger clubs. And some of them, we mentioned Puertas, definitely, Assis as well. Machis is doing a great job, as we were saying. So that's Granada. Real Sociedad, I want to see against Espanyol. Espanyol looks poor. Espanyol will lose a manager as well by October, I reckon. There's no belief in the idea. You can sense that. But we'll see. And with Real Sociedad, it's quite the opposite. They came in and they looked taller, bigger. They had a lot of belief in what they were doing. Pressure high. For the first 10 minutes or so, Espanyol couldn't get out of their own half. And it was just normal that even when Espanyol pulled one goal back, it was 1-2. You knew that Real Sociedad, as they did with Isaac at the end, they would just win the game. Clearly, it was 1-3 at the end at the Espanyol Stadium. 2 goals from William José. One of them, the second one, required a magnificent pass from Odegaard. I had the opportunity to chat to him a little bit after the game, and he was happy. He was saying that there is still room for improvement, and there will be a chance to talk to him in detail in the next few days. So I'm looking forward to share some of that with you, because even though he's on loan with Real Sociedad for 2 years, this is interesting. Of course, he still belongs to Real Madrid, and the federation only allows 1 year loan. The agreement between the clubs is 2 years, but I just think Odegaard is ready to jump to Real Madrid if they wanted him next season. But he wanted a longer loan deal, and in Spain to be seen more often by Real Madrid, I imagine, and also not just the club but the fans and the media, and to grow really in a league that is very competitive, in a team that really suits him. So all that meant that he wanted a longer deal. He's only 20, so he was happy to be until 22 with Real Sociedad, and it's the perfect club for him to do so. But as I said, I think he's almost ready to go to Real Madrid if Real Madrid wanted him, especially to replace the midfielders. They're short in midfielders. And finally, Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao is actually a team that have shown signs of improvement, and Garitano, it's now 17 games at home that they haven't lost, and that period started last season, practically at the beginning of Garitano's tenure, when he came and took over the side. So you are talking about a team that at home beats almost anybody. They beat Alaves without practicing great football, but they know exactly what they're doing. Intensity in everything they do, aggression, but not too. They don't go over the limit. Pace, directness, and a lot of competition in every part of the pitch. Yes, Iñaki Williams is a regular, of course, and Raúl García tends to be as well. Muniain too. The midfield, though, they've got so many variations possible. I like Unai Lopez a lot. He's got a lot of quality, especially played at home mostly. And but they've got Vesgas and they've got San Jose, Beñat, Dani Garcia. A lot of variations in the midfield. They all have got different qualities, and that means that the competition allows Athletic Bilbao to keep the level very, very high. So they hadn't been top of the table for 24 years, I believe. They've got the same points in 5 games that they had in the first 14 of last season. So the improvement is obvious, and it's good to see such a strange, if you like, top 6 at the moment. Things may change, but everybody, top three are dropping points. And I'll tell you about Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid next. Atletico Madrid is a side that have shown the limitations in the last 2 games against Juventus. They were 2-0 down, and it was attacking set pieces that allowed them to end up with a draw in that game in the Champions League. But against Celta, the first half, they did not risk anything, and you start wondering why that is. Well, the reason is because Simeone is there. But they've got better players to actually play better football. Better football means creating more chances, but I think Simeone prefers the first 45 minutes to be solid, not to concede opportunities against a Celta side that has got a lot of quality up front, with Denis Suarez, with Iago Aspas, with Santi Mina. But in the second half, when they put the next gear, they just couldn't beat the defense of Celta. They perhaps deserved more than the 0-0 draw, but they just did not create enough. And that's partly down to the fact that they're using Joao Felix as their main creating force next to Diego Costa. Sometimes he plays wide, Joao Felix, most of the time in the centre, but he's a 19-year-old that has got moments of brilliance. Difficult to see at the moment, those moments of brilliance, 1 or 2 perhaps, that's it. But you cannot ask for the continuity that demands that kind of role, the role of knowing that you haven't got much space, you haven't got many opportunities to shine, but you have to make an impact straight away. He hasn't got that maturity. He doesn't know exactly where he's got to play, where his best role is, and I think that's created a confusion that the side is being affected by. But generally what you've got is an Atletico Madrid of the Simeone style. They should play better. I think they can play better, but at the moment it's all about limitation of their weaknesses in making sure that those weaknesses don't get exploited. It's a philosophy in life. You prefer not to be exposed than to actually risk things, and sometimes it brings you a 0-0 draw against Celta. Real Madrid were fantastic defensively against Sevilla, and they beat Sevilla, of course. Offensively, they were better than Sevilla. But what has changed since the defeat against PSG? Attitude, defensive attitude. Everybody worked so hard defensively. The lines worked together. When they pressure hide, everybody did it with intensity. There were 3 moments in the last 10 minutes. There was a moment where Benzema ran towards the centre-back who was of Sevilla, who had the ball and was trying to build an attack because he thought there was an opportunity to steal the ball. Didn't do it. But you saw that, and with 6-7 minutes to go, you also saw Bale tracking back as a left back, and ended up with no oxygen in his lungs after that. And you saw Hazard as well helping with the pressure. Everybody was very disciplined. My problem with Real Madrid is that they just don't do that consistently, not in all the big games. But it was a big game. Sevilla already have got a problem that I mentioned already. They won't score enough goals with the players they've got. They will be solid, they will be difficult to beat, but they will not score enough. So somehow they need to sort that out. Perhaps Chicharito came on, perhaps bringing him on earlier or playing with him. He may not be the solution, but in any case, you need goals from everybody because they're young. Their centre forward does a lot of work, holding the ball and pressuring the centre backs when they build in the attack, but does not score enough. My last point is going to have to be about Spurs. I'm seeing a Spurs that how can I put it? They start the games well at the moment. They score at least, even if they don't play wonderful football at the beginning. They score, and in the last 3 games, I think it's been, even though they started ahead, they either lost or drew the games. Away, for instance, it was a team that was to be feared, but at the moment it's not working for them. I think it's only 1 victory away out of 14, perhaps. Just generally, it's been 6-7 months in which we haven't seen the best Spurs, and ignoring completely the fact that Arsenal fans probably passing by as Spurs fans in radio shows asking for the head of Pochettino. I don't know any Spurs fans that think that way. What I'm seeing, of course, is a Spurs that is the same Spurs as always, as a long time. So, not sure that the energies have been renewed. Not sure that out of nowhere Dele Alli will appear or wings will appear that will give them new hope or surprising element. Of course, the new players have to adapt to the Spurs. Of course, the goals will still come from Kane, and of course they will just go into a run of wins. It's just that I don't see them progressing, and I think I'm not the only one saying that. Of course, you heard it from Pochettino himself. I don't see them progressing, and if you don't progress, you don't stay still. You go backwards. It's hard to see because I'm pretty sure the plan was to get new players being sold. Players being sold and new players coming in, not just 3, more than that. But basically the club didn't find other clubs that wanted to pay the money that they required for some other players that had to leave. Meanwhile, of course, when Kane says that they're making the same mistakes as they had done, in previous years when they heard that they haven't corrected all that, he's right. But what can you do? The players are the same, so the same mistakes will be happening. I don't understand how sometimes the centre backs prefer to play long than to play short, which is the style of Spurs. I don't understand why so many mistakes, the same type of mistakes, are repeated, and I don't understand why the intensity is not there all the time. And I think it's perhaps, even if as a leader you can change the message, but of course people get tired of the same faces, and unconsciously probably you give a little bit less than you should. All in all, they will find ways to come back to win games regularly. I'm sure that's the case. There is enough quality there. Lucas Moura was a surprise last season, of course. They may find a Lucas Moura in the team, Lamela maybe, but it just feels like, as I said, when a team doesn't progress, they don't get stuck really. They just go backwards. And I'm not sure how you change that situation. Well, I'm sure how you change that situation. Basically, recycling the team, the squad, the side. But everybody knows what the plan is for the Spurs, and it is just to basically pay for Emirates Stadium first and foremost. It feels like the peak has been reached. I said that already last season, and now they'll just go on and win the next 5 games, in which case people will may change the tone. But I just feel, as I said, that the Spurs will be another long season for them, and it's a little bit sad to see, but it will be interesting to see what solutions Pochettino brings on the table. That's it. Remember to subscribe if you haven't, and to tell other friends that we are here. There'll be regular videos, as you know. There'll be interviews that I'm doing that will be put into the channel. Meanwhile, I'd love to hear from you and what you think. So comment below. Cheers, bye.